what creates a secure attachment is having caregivers who are perfect, but early childhood experiences of attunement. And when we have early childhood experiences where, let's say, love and pain go like this, then we have adult relationships where love and pain
Go like that.
Born in 92 on the block with the Sharks. Come from a different cloth, y'all would get ripped apart. You want it diamond, then you gotta get it in the dark. We dropping nuggets like Carmelo went to Rucker Park. Now we eating from state to state, we scrape the plate. I put my eggs in a basket, took a leap of faith. I took a chance, now we grow and see the impact. Decoding Success with special guests, now let's bring Matt.
Terri. I'm excited for this, and I want to kick us off with this question. Take us back to a moment in your life when you realized you were abandoning yourself. If there is one.
Of course.
Okay. I mean, so you're human.
I was just going to say,
good news.
Any human being on planet Earth, how could you not?
Yeah.
I think staying in relationships too long, and so being in a very codependent relationship with someone that I worked with, it was like just everything was incorrect about it, right? And just not leaving sooner. It wasn't like terribly abusive, but the abandonment was the high functioning codependency of making it work, of being like, it's okay, of making excuses, of being like, I understand why he is this way. And then the pivot moment happened at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night where he did not know how I felt about what was going on. Like I was mentally out of the relationship for a long time. And I remember having a conversation and I just straight up said, I was in the bathtub, he was sitting on the toilet, and I was like, we have nothing in common anymore. And he was like, since when? And I was thinking about 3 years. I did not say that. I was like, it's just not working. And I literally had to borrow $20 from him. Had my pillow in hand, $20 for a cab. This was long ago, people. There were no Ubers and no cell phones. By the way, that's how old I am. I'm no cell phone during a breakup old. And got into a cab and went to my sister's apartment on 54th and 6th. And she was like, hi, it's 3 a.m, but okay, come on in. And that was this moment that it was so terrifying. But I vowed I would never, ever be in another relationship with someone who I feared.
Why'd you fear him?
Well, and what is codependency? I fear your disapproval. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. I fear you being not happy with me. I fear you torturing me. I go away with my friends. You're calling. You're like, you can't enjoy. When you're in a codependent relationship, it's like 24/7. At least this was my experience. And thousands of clients over the last almost 30 years of there's never peace in the valley for too long in a codependent relationship, because some shit is always going to come up where it's like, are you being weird? Are you being weird? Like you're so dialed into each other's energetic fields that there's not enough separation. And I held true to that truth for myself. I never, ever again dated someone who I feared, and I was never in a romantic relationship that codependent ever again.
Is the fear more about something that stems from within you, or does it come from the partner in particular?
It's a good question, because the truth is, it's a combination, right?
Okay.
What primes us for the relationships that we attract in our lives? Well, family of origin, our childhood experiences. So, according to Terri Cole, you can either talk out those original injuries, or you can act them out. And that's it. So why it's important that we realize, like, oh, there's always a fucking parallel process going on, right? It's never just me and this codependent boyfriend, right? It's not just what it looks like. What else is going on under the surface? So what people can do to find out, if you want to go, what kind of a transference might I be having right now? You guys watching, listening can put this right in your back pocket. It's called the 3 Qs for clarity, right? 3 questions. And you're going to ask yourself, who does this person remind me of?
Okay.
Second question, where have I felt like this before? Third question is, why or how is this behavioral dynamic, right? I'm trying to please this person. They are not being pleased. I'm trying to get their approval. How is this familiar to me? Well, if I had known to ask those questions, I developed those questions from my own experience to use with my clients so they wouldn't stay as long as I had in wrong relationships. If I had been able to ask myself, who does this person remind me of, or how is this behavioral dynamic familiar to me, I would go, oh, hi, I'm turning into my 10-year-old self, and my boyfriend is my father. I'm seeking approval from someone who is withholding approval. And clients will say, okay, well, now that I understand that, how does that help me? Well, first of all, when you know, oh, this is a repeating relationship reality, right? That's what I would call it. Again, sort of a phrase that I coined just because with therapy clients over so many years, you need to get a shorthand going, right? And once people understand, you're like, oh, and basically that theory is based on Freud's repetition compulsion, right? It's not like I didn't make up repetition compulsion, but I made it accessible, at least in the way that I do. Probably other people have as well.
Sure.
So anybody watching or listening, you can think, ooh, who does this person remind me of? And a bonus question to ask, in case those three don't produce anything, is metaphorically, who do I become?
Around that person.
Yes, and metaphorically, who do they become? Because here's the thing. You may become your mother, and your boss may become your father, right? There are other incarnations of like what we're playing out. It's not always so obvious, you know?
Yeah.
But when you identify it, two things that happen. When you identify that you're having a transference, you can go, okay, so I'm having maybe a bit of an amplified response to this situation because it's familiar, because there's something from my past that still needs my attention. If we have these original wounds that are sort of sticky in some way still, we are attracting this repetition because I believe that the child within you and within me is just ever hopeful that like this time it's going to be different.
Oof. I love conversation. This is a home run right out of the gate. You like just swung for the fence right there. At what point, so this is what's coming up for me. At what point do we ask ourselves these three questions, asterisk, maybe that potential fourth, right? It might not be on the first date, but like at what point in a relationship do we start going down that path?
Well, part of it is anything that you are repeating that you don't want to be repeating in your life. So let's say you find yourself, or I find myself involved with emotionally unavailable men. And I go, how am I in this again?
Yeah.
I'll give you a story from my own life where I'd been in therapy. I knew my father was emotionally unavailable. I was working on my father wound. I was like, okay. And I really felt like I cracked the code because suddenly I started dating these men who were very different because my father was very buttoned up, very kind of waspy, not available, not affectionate. So I started dating. I was doing a lot of traveling in my 20s and early 30s. And I was dating these men from Europe. And they were so warm and they were so complimentary and they were so verbally affectionate. And I was like, I have cracked the code. And my therapist was like, dude, they live on another continent. So you're still left longing.
Oh,
right. She's
good
like,
point.
Even if they would be available and loving and lovely in person, most of the time when you're in these relationships, you are left feeling the exact same way that you did about your father when you were a child.
But it was different emotionally. There's a thing with, I think, people in Europe. Obviously, you were telling me, you grew up New York, New Jersey area, right? I could tell you from experience, my friends and I love European women. They're just different. But you're bringing up something that I never thought about. And it's like there's a longing for it once you're no longer there or they're no longer here in close physical proximity to you.
Well, listen, that's also very common in human nature, right? If we look at attachment theory and look at attachment issues, and just in general, the most simple way we can illustrate this is if you're talking to someone and they're a close talker, you may step back. And if they step forward, towards you, again, sort of encroaching on your space,
Yeah.
you may be like, hey man, just a little more space, please.
Mm-hmm.
Relationally, when someone steps forward, it is in our nature to step back slightly. But in a healthy relationship, you step forward, then I step forward, right? So we don't, you step forward and me run backwards. Now we're talking about anxious attachment, avoidant attachment. Like now we're talking about something where you're like, this is too much. In healthy relationships, you know, you assert yourself, I assert myself. And there's interdependence instead of codependence or hyperindependence.
This is good. Are you saying in general that if you step forward, and metaphorically, if you step forward, you should expect the other person to step forward in a relationship? Does it always work like that?
No. Meaning when you step forward, you may, more times than not, your person may step slightly back, right? Because if we look at it from a power dynamic situation, who's dominating and who's submissive?
Okay.
So Kasia Urbaniak is a power dynamic expert. I really like her work. And she has this theory about when someone, let's say, asks you an intrusive question, right? And you want to regain the power in that interaction. Instead of answering an intrusive question or instead of being pissed off, you flip the script on the person. So when they're asking you an intrusive question, they're dominating you and you are the sub. When you flip it and you go, why would you want to know that, Matt?
Yeah.
I now flipped it and I'm dominating you.
Yeah.
So you question the questioner's question. So if we bring that sort of power dynamic vibe into an actual relationship, sometimes you're asserting and sometimes I'm asserting. When you have a dysfunctional pattern of relating in a relationship, you'll have someone who's sort of always the pursuer.
Yeah.
And the other person always distancing. So if you find yourself back to the 3 Qs and where they can be most helpful is if you find yourself in repeated situations where you're like, how the fuck am I here again? How is this when I felt like I learned the lesson or this person didn't seem anything like my regular type of person?
Yeah.
So why we always go in therapeutically before we go out is because there's so much stuff, which I call it like in the basement of your mind, right? It's your unconscious mind.
Yeah.
Things that there's not enough room in our conscious mind to have everything that's ever happened up in the main part of the house. You couldn't walk around, right? So it's important for us to understand what are the things that impact the way that we relate to others. So I know people love attachment theory. They're so into it. People want to be like, I'm anxiously or avoidantly or whatever attached. Like people love a label, But if you want to know about yourself, you have to look at your childhood. And the important thing about attachment theory, or something that can be helpful to know, because I do think, listen, it's helpful to know, but probably the most important thing to know is that you can become more securely attached, right? It's sometimes referred to as earned attachment, where when we do this work, when we understand our childhood experience, when we look at our caregivers and go, oh, I understand now. I am anxiously attached because I had a mother who was an alcoholic, let's say. So she was sometimes attuned and other times blotto and not attuned at all.
Yeah.
So when you have that, there's you can't always count on it, right? What creates a secure attachment is having caregivers who are perfect, but early childhood experiences of attunement, of compassion, of I see you. It's like we grow up trusting that attachment is safe as opposed to painful.
Yeah.
Right? And when we have early childhood experiences where, let's say, love and pain go like this, then we have adult relationships where love and pain
go like that. Yep.
So part of the process of what we're doing and what I write about in all my books is that it doesn't have to be this way. We can, finger by finger, little by little, detach these two things. And it can be that love and acceptance go like this. Love and respect go like this. Love and joy, right? Love and abundance. We can choose, and it takes work.
Yeah.
But I'm really into like walking people through the process because people are really smart.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of why I started writing books 5 years ago is that I knew. I was like, people just need a good coach.
Oh, yeah.
They just need someone who's like step fucking one.
I think just in general, people need to know that it's also possible, right? So like, as you're saying this, I'm sitting here analyzing myself and I'm like, my last relationship, which I would say is my best relationship, going through your 3 Qs still reminded me of my mother. Mm-hmm. But it was also my healthiest relationship to date.
Yep.
So going back to the whole finger, some of the fingers are kind of doing this.
Yes, and it makes sense though, because here's the thing. You're not going to change your nature. You're going to learn new skills. So it's funny. I didn't get married until I was in my mid-30s. And in fact, I did not want to get married.
Yeah.
Like I was like, my parents' marriage looked meh. I was like,
yeah.
And my mother was definitely like, get an education and make your own money. Mm-hmm. So that maybe love can be a choice and not a need for you like it was for her. Found herself pregnant in 1958, like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where there were no, you're like, please marry me. Because it was actually a big deal. It's almost, you think about it now and you're like, no one even gives a crap at all about that. But that was actually a big deal then. So I got a lot of messaging, which was... She was like, do not get married until at least you're in your mid-30s, because she got married at 19. And so I have so much gratitude for my mother being like, oh, do it different. Create freedom, create independence for yourself. And I did all of those things.
Yeah.
But through the work that I did, I was still attracted to someone who was the best because I did it later in my life. And I had tons of therapy before I got together with my husband. Is that he's the best of both of my parents, right? I talked out so much of the dysfunction of my childhood that we all have, of course.
Yeah.
That there was no need. By the time I met Vic, my husband, Victor, and we've been together almost 30 years, 28 years.
God bless.
Oh, forget it, he's the best.
But that's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Oh. But here's the thing. I feel like I got very lucky because he's literally still the most interesting person I've ever met.
Did you get lucky though, or did you do the work to...
Combo. Because I do think we probably had some karmic debt. We had some karmic something. I feel like I had passed something with him for sure.
Yeah.
But by the time I got into that place of sitting across from him, and he was like, what do you want? And this is after being single for a couple of years in New York. And
great place to be single.
Yeah. Not,
especially now. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah. And there was no swiping. So you were literally only meeting people in the wild.
Yeah.
Which sounds romantic, but it was hard to do so. Do you know what I mean? Like
you found it hard to meet people in the wild back then?
I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was telling my friends, I would go out on like blind dates with people. That's how we met my husband, on a blind date. This is what we did. Back in the olden days, kids. This is how it was. There was no swiping. There was no like bunch of men or women in your pocket. This was just like who your friends knew.
Wait, maybe. So the blind date, like, did you guys get set up by like two? Yeah.
Yeah, by someone I was still a talent agent at that point, and this was one of my clients. And he was like a real player. So he was like, you know what, you should go out with my best friend from high school. He's nothing like me. I was like, oh, there's nothing like you.
Then it's a good thing.
I'll consider it. We'll see. But when Vic was asking me, what do you want?
Yeah.
Instead of playing the game, instead of being like, how can I shapeshift to be what you want me to be? I was like, I had this realization that my life was so good and happy and joyful, honestly, that I was like, I'm not partnering seriously with anyone unless they're bringing some shit to this party that I cannot do, make, or get for myself. If you are not adding value to me, I wanted someone who could teach me something. Someone who like owned their own home, had like an IRA account, like knew how to get tickets to the fucking opera, like someone who was grown up.
Yeah.
And so when he was like, what do you want? I was like, I probably for 10 minutes straight just said every single thing. I want someone who wants a second house because I wouldn't mind having a little lake house. I want someone who owns their own home. I want someone who's willing to have another kid. And my husband was a widower when we met.
Yeah.
I already had 3 boys, right? So he was widowed when the kids were 5, 3, and 1. And I came in like 12 years later. So there were so many things where I was like, if any of this list scares this guy, he's not my person.
Not your person. But I think also what I'm hearing you say is the importance of actually knowing what you want.
Absolutely. And it took years, because for years before I had really healed the father wound, what I wanted was to be accepted. What I wanted was to be celebrated.
Is that a bad thing to want, though? Like, I don't think it's a bad thing to want to be accepted or celebrated.
It's not. But here's the thing. I was missing discernment because it was coming from my wound and not from my healed self. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, of course, and with my husband, even in that moment, what did I want from him, and what do I still want from him 28 years later? Of course, I want acceptance, belonging, celebration, hot sex, amazing conversation. I want all of those things, and I have those things.
Yeah.
But I was so, and I think this is very common with us in the beginning of relationships, with just human beings. I was so sensitive to rejection, perceived rejection. And then I went on to see this with thousands of clients where they'd be like, oh my God, I think this person is becoming uninterested. Like it took this amount of time for them to text me back, And I'm like, all right, before we freak out about being rejected, do we even give a shit about this person? Like, is this person a quality person? Let's flip the script, back up, and look at this person. How do they treat you? Do they remember what you talk about? If they say, I'm going to call you on Friday, do they call you on Friday? Yeah. Or do they not call you on Friday, call you on Monday night and be like, what's up? And do you say, where the fuck were you on Friday? Like, what are we participating in?
Yeah.
Right. We need to look at, is it someone who keeps their word? Do they remember your friends' names?
Yeah.
Are they pressuring you for sex in a way that you don't want to? Are they being weird and like sexting you and you barely know them? Now, this could reveal my age, right? I find that shit weird.
Yeah.
You haven't gone on a date yet and someone is getting like explicit in a text message? I mean, I know this happens.
It does.
I do not like it.
I think from experience, I can only speak from one side of the table as a male, right?
Yeah.
But like, we indicate who we actually view as a serious partner or not. But the problem is, if you don't view that person in a particular way, don't waste their time.
Right. Unless both people are like, I just want to get laid.
That's it, right?
Sure.
Yeah. What's the intention? Agreed.
And I'm like, right on, man.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
If that's it.
Yeah.
But I would have clients who were seeking long-term monogamous relationship. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but then your behavior, I had this whole thing, and this is back in the day where for me, when I was dating, I had an 8-date rule, which sounds like crazy now, right? But I just thought, here's the thing. If I don't have sex with you for the first 8 dates, if we actually make it 8 dates, by the time you have sex, it's going to be amazing, right? Because if you're with my husband
Anticipation,
and I, exactly, it was super smoking hot. And trust me, we got to those 8 dates pretty quick. I mean, it was in a short period of time. But if I don't want to see you again after date 4, I'm not going to regret not you.
Yeah.
I'm not. So again, it's all about the intention, because I'm not anti-sex. I just have this, my experience tells me that sex can really complicate the getting to know someone process. And there's something really fun and sexy about taking it off the table. That was another thing with my husband. I said, this may sound weird, and I don't care if it does. I have an 8-date rule. He was like, great.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't think something like that bothers the right type of person.
Well, and what it does is you're informing. And listen, it could be 4 dates. It could be I don't have sex on the first date.
I got hit with a 3-date rule recently.
Right on.
Yeah.
I like it.
I got hit with 3 dates. I was like, okay, cool.
It's like, first of all, it's bold. But there's something very worthy, right? There's a part of when you think about having these parental wounds, whether it's a mother wound or a father wound, these are worthiness wounds. And what you're projecting when you go, I'm interesting enough for you to spend time with me without me having sex with you if I don't want to. And it also tells you, if someone is trying to convince you, right? Because there's all of these like coercive control things that happen dating-wise too, where someone is trying to convince you. It is such a lack of respect, right? If you say no and someone's like, oh, come on, it's just a little, or don't, like you have to look and go, that's someone disrespecting your boundary.
Yeah.
Not caring how you feel. And if they do it in this area, trust me, they're going to do it in every area of your life with them. It's going to be about them getting you to acquiesce to what they want you to do. So we have to look at, how do we want to interact with people? Like there's an expectation. And so I always say to my therapy clients who are dating, want to date, I'm like, set boundaries early and often. Because it immediately will tell you, right? If you're dating someone and they live in, let's say they live in Staten Island and you live in Manhattan. If they're like, I found a great place in Staten Island for us to have dinner, and you don't want to be traveling to Staten Island or don't want to be traveling home by yourself alone at night after a date, you can say, I actually would prefer that we meet in Manhattan. But it already tells you something about someone if they're trying to make you schlep from Manhattan to Staten Island on a first date. They're like, this is about me, my convenience, my comfort. Someone dating you who says, hey, I know you live in the Upper West. I found a beautiful place. I'm happy to come to your building and pick you up. I'm happy to meet you at the place, whatever you're most comfortable with.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Big difference.
Huge. And it also tells you they have a capacity to, they are thinking about you. Because what is a good relationship? We're just thinking about our person all the time. How can I make, I'm always thinking about my husband. How can I make his life easier? Right? How would he feel about this? How will this gig, this job, this travel impact us? Talk about it. I don't make unilateral, massive decisions in my life without talking to him. And not because he owns me.
Yeah.
He doesn't. And vice versa. But because we make big decisions together, whatever they may be, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. As you're sharing this, my mind goes back to those 3 questions. And what if you're asking yourself those questions, but they're kind of give and take, meaning like the first one, who does this person remind me of? And it's like, oh, it reminds me of my dad or it reminds me of my mom. But then on the flip side, you have that question where it's like, well, who do I become? And you see that you're becoming a good person. Who does that, what if they're give and take and they're kind of like 50-50 and it's just like, what do you do from there?
Well, here's the thing. It's information.
Okay.
So part of it is that all we're looking at it, because it's not bad. If someone reminds you of one of your parents or a cousin, I have to cough. Okay. That's not a bad thing per se, right? It's for you to have insight. So let's say you have a realization. I'll tell a quick story. Because you can use this repeating relationship reality or the 3 Qs.
Yeah.
You can use this in any situation. So I was at an internship for grad school. I'd already had a lot of therapy at this point. So you would think I would have had some shit figured out. But this story is going to show you that it's very compelling, this repeating thing. So anyway, I have a boss who's there, and I hate this guy. And he's 6'2", dimples, super deep voice, Brooks Brothers suit wearing, Wall Street Journal reading, martini swigging, like golfing dude, like that guy.
Okay.
So every time I saw him, I would avoid him. If he was in a meeting, I wouldn't say anything. I was like, Dr. Washington is a dick. Like, I just hated him. So I was complaining to my therapist, and she was like, it's interesting. Do you really know him? I was like, oh, yeah, I know the type. Trust me.
I know the type.
She's like, all right, so could you describe him? So I describe him again, and she's like, Tara, who else might that describe to a T? And I was like, oh, my God. My father, that guy, and actually looked so much like my father, super deep voice like him, the whole entire thing. And I couldn't believe how obvious it was, and I didn't see it. And she said, do you understand
Hey everyone, pausing this episode to share something with you. In a world of hyper competitiveness, I think the best quote that I can share with you is that there is no one in the world youer than you, and that is truer than true, which is exactly why I wanted to share with you today about Brand Builders Group. It's an organization I've been working with over the last few months. It is absolutely incredible, and today I am sharing with you the opportunity to hop on a free brand call with a brand strategist to help you break through the wall of obscurity. We are in a hyper competitive space at the moment, whether it be on social or with your podcast or with your blog or with your books or getting on stage. No matter what your endeavor is, this is an opportunity for you to hop on a free strategy call with someone from the team to be able to help you navigate the waters of making sure that you are breaking through the wall and taking advantage of all of the opportunities that you most definitely deserve. Again, there is no one in the world youer than you. So no matter what the problem is that you solve, there might be other people that are out there that also solve the same problem, but there is a strategy that can be placed into your initiatives that will help you break through that wall with speed. So I want to share this with you. It is freebrandcall.com/Matt Labri. That is going to be in the show notes of this episode, whether you're tuned in from audio or through YouTube, whatever it is, freebrandcall.com/Matt Labri.
Why it matters. She's like, because if you turn into your 10-year-old self every time you're around your boss, the guy who's going to decide whether you get hired after this internship, he's never going to know how smart you are, how capable you are, right? So your adult self has to be in the room with Dr. Washington. But here's the thing, when you have this realization, for me, I never had that transference to him again. Like the realization that it was my 10-year-old self who was like, oh my God, I'm terrified because I was terrified of my own father, which was true. But I made the connection and I was like, right, but he's not him and I'm not 10.
Yeah.
And so it broke that spell. But a lot of times, if you don't realize that you're having a bit of a transference, because here's the thing, two things can be true, right? Maybe you're having a reaction to someone acting like a jerk or being like mean or using language that you, in your childhood, someone used that became activating or triggering for you. There, two things can be true, meaning you can be having a transference. So your experience and your emotional reaction can be amplified at the same time that this person could be being a dick.
Right.
Like those things coexist and can coexist. So they don't negate each other. The 3 cues are just for you to have information about what might be motivating your reaction.
Yeah.
And then you can just remind yourself, oh, hey, now is not then. Right? So I can approach this situation as my grown-up self because now is not then. I don't have to be afraid of my boss because he only has so much power over me, not the kind of power that a father has over a 10-year-old.
Right. You brought up boundaries. What would you say people are doing wrong when setting them?
Oh, there's so much confusion about boundaries, right? My definition of boundaries, my first book called Boundary Boss, so all about boundaries. If anybody wants to get fluent in the language of boundaries, that's how you can do it, is it's you, right? It's like, I want you to think of your boundaries as your own personal rules of engagement that let other people know what's okay with you and what's not okay with you. That's at its most simple. So I say that your boundaries are made up of your preferences, your desires, and your deal breakers. So not all boundaries are created equal. A deal breaker, that's a no-go. That's if you cross this line, I will end this relationship.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, it's like an ultimatum. I'm like, here's the thing, it's a standard. Right? I had a client who was in a relationship with someone who had been sober for a very long time. She met him sober, never knew him as a drinker, and then he relapsed during the pandemic. And she was like, absolutely not. Like, this is a problem. And for her, it was a deal breaker. Now, she gave him a period of time. Hey, I'm supporting you getting back on the wagon,
Sure, yeah.
But it has to be within 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever her time frame was, because that's her right to not want to be in a relationship with someone who's an active addict when that wasn't the agreement when they started.
Yeah.
So that's different than a preference, right? A preference is, I like coffee over tea, right? A preference is, I like a tub over a shower. So your preferences are still important because your preferences, your limits, and your deal breakers, they don't just make up your boundaries. They make up who you are. So women in particular, we've been sort of sold this bill of goods that like easy breezy is better.
Yeah.
Don't have a lot of opinions, right? So it's like, you know me, no fuss, no muss, whatever you guys want to do. Let's go back. That A isn't true, right? Because we all have preferences.
Yeah.
And we've been taught that it's more feminine to be like easygoing. It's to be the cool girl, let's say, you know? But it's inauthentic, is my thought. And that for me, I want to know your preferences, my husband's preferences, my friends. I know them all.
Yeah.
Because this is how I get to intimately know the people in my life. So I know who doesn't eat gluten. I know who hates outside concerts. I know
Right.
who doesn't swim. Like, I know those things about the people that I love because you remember, and those are the things, those particular things. That's what makes you unique, besides your unique thoughts and your ideas and all the other things. So your boundaries are so much more than just saying no. So what I think people are doing wrong, long way around the barn to get back to your question, is they're confused about what boundaries are. A lot of times people want to use boundaries as like a lever of control.
You beat me to one of my next questions.
Okay.
I was wondering if we could use boundaries as a way of like, I don't want to use the word protection, but that's what's coming up. Kind of like a way to hide our self or something of that sort.
Yes, and boundaries are, in a healthy way, a way of protecting ourselves, our dignity, our bandwidth, our time, or whatever. But people can use them. Like if you look at boundaries, you can have healthy boundaries, which are flexible enough, firm enough. That's a healthy boundary. You can have porous boundaries, which are too flexible. So you're more of like a pushover or like a peacekeeper type person. Or you can have boundaries that are too rigid. And you're like a my way or the highway type person, where if somebody does something that hurts your feelings, you're more likely to basically ghost them or cut them off than you are to tell them that they did that. So a lot of times people will mistake folks with rigid boundaries as boundary bosses, let's say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. If you really have healthy boundaries, there is a give and take that we were talking about before, right? With my husband and I, it's what is more important to whom as to what we do, right? We'll always be like, he's got an event that he wants me to go, you know, I'll say, how important is it that I go with you? Out of 10. If he says 8, I'm going. If he says anything less than 5, I'm not, because I probably don't want to do whatever the black tie thing is or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that discernment is also important.
Absolutely. Is the first step to setting a boundary really knowing what your preference is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is the first step. And I do this, I walk people through this in the book and my courses where we do a very extensive list of okay and not okay. So we look at all areas of life, work, health, finances, friends, relationships, everything, your living situation.
Yeah.
And you write down. And it's usually easier when we start making these lists to do the not okay. Like it's easier to identify like what isn't working sort of.
Versus what is.
And so I want you to think of it as a living document because we're always sort of adding to it and changing because it changes as you change.
Yeah.
But you have to know yourself. Like how can we assert a healthy boundary or set a limit with someone else if we're not sure what we want?
Yeah.
And many of us have been taught to communicate indirectly, right? Passive aggressively. Like, you know, you be sarcastic, roll your eyes, slam a door, heavy sigh for how annoying you are, as opposed to saying what's on your mind. And so part of becoming a boundary boss is learning to be direct. And you can be direct and kind. You can be direct and loving. It's telling the truth about how you feel, what you think, and what you want. Because what ends up happening, if you are endlessly sort of appeasing other people or saying yes when you want to say no because you're afraid of being rejected or you don't want a confrontation, because a lot of people are very conflict avoidant, what ends up happening is that the people in your life don't know you. So how can anyone authentically love you if you're giving them bad intel on who you are and what you want and how you feel? And it could be even small things. And I remember asking my husband years ago when we first started dating, I was like, once we really got together, we were serious quickly. And I was like, if I'm doing anything that's bothering you, like, tell me, because I would want to know. Because a lot of times it's just stuff you can change easily. Yeah. And he was so conflict avoidant. He was like, is something wrong? I was like, no, babe, I just want to know. And he's like, you always want there to be something wrong. Nothing's wrong. I'm like, no, I don't want there to be something wrong. I want you to know that your preference matters to me. And then he was thinking, he's like, I don't know, sometimes when you wash your hair, can you take your hair out of the drain because you have so much hair falling out? I was like, sure.
That sounds like a common one.
I'm like, not a problem. And I've never washed my hair and not cleaned the drain in 28 years after that. And I always think of him, right? So, of course, obviously, we're together a long time. So he's very happy to tell me his preferences now. that was 28 years ago. But there's something about knowing, right? This deepens the intimacy in your relationships. Yeah. Like, why do we view, women in particular, why would I view my preference as a burden to you? But we do. Because what have we been taught? Like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Be compliant. Where's my happy girl? Turn that frown around. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Yeah. Right? When you really think about the way women in particular have been socialized, it's like the more compliant, the better. The more feminine, which is obviously not true. Yeah. But it's almost like this bill of goods that we've been sold. And so it takes a lot of courage. And nobody teaches you how. The reason I wrote an entire book on boundaries and codependency is because literally nobody teaches us. We come into it with minus points because what we learn to be is good girls. Yep. And this applies to a lot of men too.
Yeah, right? We have our own stuff like that.
Yeah, the same and different. Yep. Right? Because at least if you're growing up in the 70s and 80s, let's say even 90s, there was different things, right? Like what was the expectation for girls was being considered nice was more important than anything. Mm-hmm. Even if you weren't actually nice. Like think about how Southern people are. They're like, bless his heart. Like, not nice. You're not being nice. You are being mean right there. But it's like there's a whole entire language, code language that was created in the South because you're not allowed to be bitchy and you're not allowed to be honest. Yeah. But you are allowed to bless somebody's heart now, aren't you?
I love it. So you talk about knowing yourself, and as you were sharing that, what was coming up, especially because a lot of people in our community have felt like black sheeps. They felt like they became someone else for the acceptance, the approval, so on and so forth. So how can you tell if the boundaries you are creating are really from yourself or maybe from your conditioning?
I think it has to be how you feel, like how you feel inside. Because most people really don't know how to effectively set boundaries. They don't. And they don't even know what boundaries need to be set. So why don't we just back it up and say, here's another tool that people can use. If you're wondering, like, because it can be overwhelming, right? You're like, where do I need them and with whom? Yeah. But I use this tool that can be really helpful where people can do a resentment inventory.
You're full of tools.
I am. That is a fact.
Resentment inventory. Talk to me about that.
Basically, anybody watching or listening, and you too, right now, right now, who you might be copping a little bit of resentment for in your life. So what we do is we write down the person, we write down the situation, like why? Yeah. Why am I feeling that way? And then in the way that I do the exercise, there's a last sort of column where we take responsibility, like what is my 50% of this shit not working? Like, what am I not doing? So a lot of times I would have a beef with someone when I was younger. I know exactly what the beef is, but I haven't said anything to them about it.
Just didn't address it.
I'm just not, right? But maybe I'm being pissy.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being bitchy, making a sarcastic comment about it, maybe. But I'm not directly saying, hey, I'd like to make a simple request. If you're going to go into my apartment and borrow my shit, that you let me know. This is the whole thing that happened with one of my sisters. But like that, right? That would be me doing my 50% to remedy the situation that is causing me resentment.
Yeah.
And that is setting a boundary. And boundaries are, they're really not hard. Like when you think about it, it's hard to do if you haven't done it, right? But you can get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with people, you need language. I always give like sentence starters. Like I wanted to, Matt, I wanted to bring it to your attention that last Wednesday in the meeting when you were on your phone while I was talking, it was so distracting. So I'd love to make a simple request that you not do that in the meeting, because we're not supposed to have our phones like that.
Yeah.
Some people go, I feel like I lost my chance to do it. I couldn't say it in the moment. Of course you couldn't. And in the beginning, when you're just learning this new language, you're not going to be able to, but you can always go back. Hey, Matt, I want to talk to you about something that happened in the summer of fucking 78. Like there's no statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Right. It's fine to say, you know what? Something happened last summer that has been on my mind, and I just want to talk about it.
Does it always need to be spoken to the person, or can you journal it? Can you just...
It depends on what your relationship is with the person, what you want your relationship to be. Because here's the thing. A lot of the times, Matt, and this is fascinating, the healing is in the asking or in the asserting. It's not in what the other person does. So I tell this whole story in Too Much, my last book, about I was graduating grad school, and my father had already retired at 50. He was living in Florida, still terrified of him, but maybe a little bit better. And I said to my therapist, I'm not inviting him to my NYU graduation.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, but why not? I was like, because he hates New York City. He used to work here every day for years and years and years. He moved to Florida, never wanted to come back. So I know he won't come. And she's like, okay, but let's ask a different question. Do you want him to come? And I was like, I mean, yeah, like he's my father, and I do. And she was like, okay, so then you should ask him. I go, even though I know, what's the point if I know he's not going to come? And she said, the point is you asserting what you want. And I was like, really? Is that a valuable exercise? She's like, it is, and it's your homework. I'm like, oh God.
Ooh, so I love therapy homework.
So scary. So I was going to visit him in Sarasota, Florida, and it's just me, and I got all the way to the last day. I was only there for 3 days, but I was like, oh my God, like I cannot come back and tell Bev I didn't do it. Like I have to do it. So we're driving to the airport. He's driving me. And I was like, hey, Dad. He's like, yeah, Terri. I was like, I got an extra ticket for my NYU graduation at the end of May if you want to come. And he was like, ugh. That's what he said. Ugh. And I was like, hello? And he's like, Terri, I really can't deal with New York. And I was like, it's okay. And then he said, ugh, here comes the guilt, which is kind of funny. I was like, you're kidding. I've never guilted you a day in my life, motherfucker. And trust me, I could have, and I have not. Yeah. But I didn't say that. And I said, Dad, it's not about guilt. Mom will be there. Kathy will have had a baby 5 days before my graduation, and she's coming. But here's the thing. You're my only father, and no one can replace you. So I want you to sincerely know I can absolutely accept that you can't do it. I really can, but I had to ask because nobody can replace you, Dad.
You said this in the moment.
I did. Oh my God, I feel like crying right now.
Please do. We welcome that.
Woo! The most honest I'd ever been. And this shifted my relationship with him. Things changed. I started calling him on Sundays, even though he was literally this guy. I'm not lying when I tell you. My parents got divorced when I was 13. And I'm going to say my father and I perhaps exchanged 53 words total.
Yeah.
Between my ages of 0 to 13. You're driving in a car on a long distance with 4 kids under the age of 6. He would point at you and go like this to roll up the window. You're like, okay. If you were kicking the back of the chair by accident, he would point at you and go. So he was terrifying, is all I'm saying. So this was so major, this shift, and it changed the last part of my relationship with my father. But the healing, how it changed me, was that I was like, if you could say that, honor that truth, because if she had not asked me, if she did not tasked me with inviting him, the conversation that created the most amount of healing in my relationship with my father never would have happened. If I had just been like, he's limited, he can't do it, the end. To spare myself the uncomfortable conversation of asking.
That's what it is, right? The discomfort.
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, you guys. Discomfort just means you're doing something new. You're growing outside of your comfort zone. It will not kill you. And it does not mean abort the mission. I mean, sometimes it does, but it doesn't always.
Yeah.
And so I think part of wanting to avoid being uncomfortable, why do we fill silences in conversations? Right? Because we don't want it to be uncomfortable. But what happens is when you learn to like give breath and space to that pregnant pause, it's pregnant with possibility. Other people will share things with you that they never would have if you just give it a beat.
Yeah.
Just relax. Just stop auto advice giving, right? Just ask questions instead of knowing answers. If you want better relationships, yes, better boundaries, tell the truth about your preferences, your desires, and your deal breakers. But for all of my high-functioning codependents out there, people who are really very capable and in control of everything, again, that hyper-independence that comes along with that is not necessarily good for your relationships.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm just like, There's so many times, whether it's with parents or with whomever, where we're just reserved for the sake of maintaining our comfort, and just hearing the transformation that relationship had and probably what it did for you as a person to maybe do it again in the future. Yeah. That's powerful.
And it also shifts your goal, right? So anybody watching or listening who feels like there's a conversation they need to have with someone, if we take away the end result, if we go, you know what? It doesn't matter if they agree to my boundary or they don't. It doesn't matter if they like it or they don't. When we start to realize that asserting ourselves, telling the truth, right? Honoring how you feel.
Yeah.
That is the thing that creates the self-esteem. This heals, or one of the things that can help heal worthiness wounds. Because what you're saying to yourself and the universe is what I think, how I feel, what I want matters.
Yeah.
And if you want to be in my life, it has to fucking matter to you too.
That is beautiful. Hey, I promised I would get you out of here in an hour and I could keep this going, but that is exactly why I had to tap my phone, because I realized I didn't put the clock on before. I'm like, wait, what time is it?
It's all right. We could go another 5 if you want to.
Yeah. Well, I do want to ask you 3 more questions,
Great.
but before doing
We'll
that, let's point people in the direction of where we need to get them to.
Okay.
In the show notes and in the description, we will have websites, socials, etc., where to get the books. Anything else we should be bringing people's attention to?
Yes, I have a membership that people love. So if you like this style, right, it's Q&A. So I meet every single week with my membership. It's TCM is the name of it.
Okay.
People can go to it, terricole.com/TCM.
Perfect.
It's super reasonable. I don't even know what we're charging now, but it's like, I don't know, $29 a month maybe, or $30, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's worth it. And it's a beautiful community of seekers, of people growing, of people changing. I also have guests come in. I also do workshops in that group. But it's a way of staying in touch with your own evolution, because it's so easy. Like you listen to a podcast like this, you go, oh my God, I have so many ideas. I feel like I could benefit. Maybe my boundaries need help. Maybe I'm codependent.
Yeah.
And then we go back to life and we're like, okay, I'm going to think about that another day. But if you're in a community where every week we think about that, I take topics from my community to talk about, and then every single time we meet, it's Q&A, you're keeping your growth and things changing in the front of your mind. And it's so powerful because you're the only one who can do it, you know?
Absolutely. We'll include that. And hey, I am urging you to go check out this stuff. I kept up with Boundary Boss. Like I said, I dove into 1,000,001 interviews before today, and it's really, really awesome stuff. So I urge everyone to go check out those links in the show notes. But Terri, out of respect for your time, my 3 last questions. First is a hypothetical.
Okay.
If we knew what you know, how would our lives be different?
You would stop trying to control all the shit that is not on your side of the street.
Talk to me more about that.
You would be so clear. The difference between when your friend calls you and they're in a crisis, when you know, if you knew what I know, you would be compassionately supportive. The first question you would ask that friend, instead of telling them what to do, is what do you think you should do? Because what you think you should do, and because it's your life, is infinitely more important than what I think you should do. And I will weigh in the end if you want me to. But let's brainstorm. What you would do is you would do that instead of feeling immediately responsible for fixing your friend's problem.
I have never heard that question. I'm sitting here because I'm thinking about the last 2 people that came to me. And while I didn't project advice, all I did was listen. But that question right there is an absolute game changer.
Absolutely. And it deepens the intimacy in your relationship so much that it will blow your mind.
It also gives them their power to realize that what they're looking for, they actually have.
Because they do. And I can tell you from being in recovery, from being a high-functioning codependent where I had all the answers for all the people, it's like the presumption that you know is so ridiculous. Like I was panicked though, right? It wasn't that I thought I was so great. It was that I couldn't stand you to be in pain for a minute, Matt. I'd be like, I know exactly what you should do.
Because pain was uncomfortable for you?
Yes, your pain, because I'm such an empath, such a highly sensitive person.
Yep.
But what happens, and this is the part that was so ego dystonic, like so painful to admit, is that when I would be inserting myself as the answer to Matt's problem, what am I doing? I'm centering your problem on me. Ooh, yuck, yuck, yuck. So when I flip it and go, babe, what do you think you should do before we do another thing? Let's just go there, go. I'm now centering you, your problem-solving skills, and your brain into the situation that only you can solve.
Yeah, that is so good. That right there was it for me. Like that is so good because I've taken over this whole, I'll just hold space for the person if I have the ability to hold space.
Yep. Because
I would love to give advice to everyone, but at the same time, like if I haven't lived that exact experience, like how can I really give advice?
And here's the thing, you can still do it. Like I'm a psychotherapist, I do this for a living. Lots of people want my advice, right?
Yeah.
People pay me for my advice, fine. But in my relationships, in my real relationships, it's never the first stop on the bus now that I'm so much healthier in the past 10 years. It's the first question, and this is whether someone is 6, 16, or 60. It's the same question, which is, what do you think you should do? So if you're asking a 6-year-old who came home from school, who had a fight with Billy, and you go, okay, how do you think you should handle this, 6-year-old? And your 6-year-old says, I think I should go in tomorrow and punch Billy in the face. You don't have to agree that that's what they should do. But they have just revealed to you something very important about what they're thinking.
Yes.
So now we teach a 6-year-old and a 16-year-old deductive reasoning, critical thinking, by going, all right, well, let's play that out. What do you think will happen if you punch Billy in the face tomorrow, first thing when you get to school, right? We're still teaching, but instead of having to know the answer and be the first one with the answer, there's something so loving and so generous and so helpful about being like you. And when we're talking to people and they're sharing something, being able to say, all right, is there more? Is there more you want to say about that? Because how often does anyone like truly give you the floor, their full attention, get off your goddamn phone?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking to no people on their phone. There are 0 people who are having a conversation with me where I'm looking at the top of their head.
Yeah.
I'm like, motherfucker, I need you to listen with your ears and your fucking eyeballs. There will be no, I'm just, no, you're not scrolling.
Yeah.
you're not. And I really encourage everyone, oh man, get off your phones if you want good relationships. Doing this, it is so addicting. I fully understand it. Trust me, we all are in the battle. Stop watching movies with your goddamn phone on.
Yeah.
Stop it. Have a basket at the front of your house and put your phone in there. Get it away from you. Do not charge it in your room. Make a different choice. Because I really feel like these phones are making us live what I call life light. Because you are not fully present if you're also on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just not. And everything hits different.
It absolutely does.
Right? It's less impactful.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of paying attention, but I'm kind of not.
Yeah.
Why?
I try to do an entire Sunday with no phone.
Love it.
I went to, this started years ago, Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within, 2018. And for whatever reason, after that event, I was like, you know what? I need to start going to church again. And I was like, I'm not going to go to church with my phone because I want to pay attention. Yep. And like little things like that, I was like, you know what? You don't even need your phone for the entire day. Like, what are you doing? It's Sunday. Yep. Like, work ain't happening. Love it. You're good. You're good. Life is different without a phone. Yep. That it is. That it is.
And for those of us who grew up, because how old are you?
32. I had to think about it for a second, but I'm 32.
Oh my God, you're a baby. I'm 61.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a cell phone until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
So my brain is like, what is the deal? And now
you got both sides of it though, which I think is a blessing.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I would definitely I would not be who I am if I grew up with a childhood with phones. Because we grew up, people were like, get outside, see at 6, bye. Like that was it. Fact. If I said to my mother, I'm bored, she would laugh in my face. She'd be like, get outside, build a fort, go with your friends, go to the pool, go to the river, like there was a million things to do.
Yeah.
Parents felt no obligation to worry about your social life. Ride your bike 5 miles on a highway to go to summer school. I found algebra, literally. And with my friend Grimsby on the back of my bike, 2 of us riding 5 miles by ourselves.
That's fun. That's fun.
It was. I mean, listen, get it done. They were like, we believe in you.
That's fun. I love it. Well, I think I caught the tail end of that, right? Like I really cherished playing Manhunt in the street and like do red light, green light and all of these things, right? Like I absolutely love that. It's wild to see where we have ended up. That is for sure. It is definitely wild. Terri, last question for you. You make it to whatever year you want to make it. You write as many books, impact as many people, hop on as many podcasts. You do all the things that you want to do. But people that are listening to this today and people that engage with your work could only remember you for one piece of advice. What's the advice you want them to remember you for? You've given us a ton.
But like I think the advice would be you're worth the work. Like invest in your mental health. There's so much that you can learn. You're so smart. You don't have to suffer. You are worth the work. So do the motherfucking work.
Do the work. Terri, hey, I appreciate this. Thank you so much for coming in, making this happen. Super, super grateful for it. Again, for everyone listening and watching, all of the links to the books, the membership, website, socials, all of that good stuff, podcasts as well. Like literally everything is in the description and the show notes of this. But thank you so much, Terri. This was awesome. You are awesome. Seriously, you're so media trained. It's incredible.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
I appreciate it.